I love to read. I devour books. Wouldn't it be nice if I wrote something that somebody else would love to read? And I think that's where I got my love of writing from.
Lewis Bowling teaches in the physical education departments at North Carolina Central University and Duke University. He's authored 8 books and writes columns for the Durham Herald Sun and the Oxford Public Ledger. He joins me today on Uncorking a Story to discuss his life and writing career. Welcome to Uncorking a Story, Lewis.
Oh, thank you, Michael. So happy to be with you.
I'm happy to have you here, and I'm not going to hold it against you that you are employed by Duke University, because I'm a proud University of Connecticut alumnus.
Oh my goodness! Well, that's all right. That's all right. You've got a great men's and women's basketball program to be proud of. There, and you may know that this coming Saturday, Duke plays Connecticut. Did you know that?
You know what? It had been written down on my refrigerator. So.
Duke's traveling to Connecticut, so we'll see what happens there.
Yeah, we'll see. We will see. But I'm curious, Lewis. I always start off with the same question, which is, where does your story as an author begin?
I guess as a very young child, Michael, I've had a love of reading ever since I can remember, to be honest with you. I started probably reading my grandfather. He had he kept a box of old Western paperbacks under his bed. And every time I would visit him, which he lived close by, he would always say, Lewis, go up under that bed and look in the box and get a couple of books out and take it home with you. His name was Lewis Walker, and we called him Papa. But yeah, see, I started, that was my library. My first library was my grandfather's box of books, old westerns under his bed, and I also at a very young age, my mother would take me to the Richard Thornton Library in Oxford, North Carolina, which is close to Durham, where I live now, and I would check out books in the I always, and to this day, I don't mean to offend your fiction lovers out there. I just always say, to each his own, and I just don't read. I just don't read fiction. I read all nonfiction. I read biographies, and I love to read biographies of writers, and I love to read about history, especially American history. But then that's not a fiction is a great form of reading, and I would encourage it. It's like I say, it's just what you enjoy most, and I happen to like nonfiction a little bit better.
Yeah, I like to balance it out. I like to do, one fiction book and then a nonfiction book, and kind of bounce between, just to keep it interesting for me.
I understand. Oh, I understand.
But what a great gift from your grandfather, though. Like introducing you to reading and a love of reading.
I always, that's where it started, and he loved to read, and I would just devour those old westerns. I think they mostly Zane Grey westerns, as I recall, but and as I say, that was my first library. My mother loves to read, so I guess it was just handed down to me on my mother's side. But even today, I kid you not, if you saw my house, Michael, yeah, you would see that I love books. I got them stacked everywhere. My wife is after me all the time to clean up my books and put them up. But I take books with me almost everywhere I go. I always think of it. Well, if I give out of gas and have to wait for AAA, I can read a book while I'm waiting or something like that. So I always have a book with me. But I think, to answer your question better, Michael, I think my love of reading simply led to my love of writing now. I just always, as I got older, I said, you know what? I love to read. I devour books. Wouldn't it be nice if I wrote something that somebody else would love to read? And I think that's where I got my love of writing from.
And at what point in your life was that? You mentioned kind of later on in life, but when did that light bulb go off?
When did it go on to where I started to want to write? You mean,
Yeah,
Michael?
yeah, when he wanted to write. Yeah.
You know what? That's a good question. I didn't publish my first book until I think it was 2002, so that would have been 23 years ago, and I would have been around I'd have been about 40 years old at that time. I wrote a newspaper column before that, so I guess I've been writing newspaper columns and magazine articles and books for the last 30 years or so. So I guess I started writing uh, for pay, in other words, uh, around the age of 30. Maybe I
Okay.
did get started a little bit later than some people, I guess.
Well,
But yeah,
sometimes the stories aren't ready to come out.
right,
Sometimes
right,
it
right.
takes a little while to use a cooking term. Sometimes it takes a while to marinate.
Yeah, that's right. I agree with you there. But I've certainly have. I'm not. I say this modestly. Uh, I don't consider myself a great writer. I work hard at it. But I have written, I think, 14 books, and as I say, I write a weekly newspaper column now, and I write articles for. You're gonna make you mad here. Go Duke, the magazine. It's their athletic magazine. I write for them, and just wrote an article yesterday on a former player, Duke basketball player who passed away, Robbie West.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's certainly writing is such a big part of my life now, and I enjoy it very much.
Take us back to that first book. When you first started writing that first one. What was that like? What was kind of going on in your life, and how did you decide what subject you were going to write about?
Right. I grew up in a Granville County, again, very close to where I'm at now, um, and I've always loved history, and then I realized, hey, there's so much history in the county that I'm from, Granville County. The Granville County was incorporated in 1746, and that's where I grew up. And I said, why not write something about my own county? And my first book was it was a history of Granville County, basically. Um, and since then, let me see, a few years ago, Granville County celebrated its 275th birthday, and the and the county commissioned me to write a history book on the county. Oxford, the county seat, was recently celebrated its 250th birthday, and I was commissioned to write a history of Oxford. So uh, that's where it started, right there, writing about my county, the county that I'm from.
Yeah, well, they say write what you know. That's
That's right.
usually
That's right.
and
Although I didn't know everything about that, but I certainly did the research, and found out more about it.
what did you learn about yourself during that process of writing the first one? Because I'm sure it's your first pass at writing something that long, probably. I would imagine. What did you learn about yourself?
Myself, I just learned that uh, I don't know how to say it, the thrill of writing a book. I enjoyed the research. I enjoyed that part. I enjoyed talking to people, getting learning history from them. I enjoyed going to my local library and gathering all the facts together. And Michael, my goodness, when that first book, I remember it clearly to this day, and it's 25 years ago now, I guess, but 23 years ago. But the shipment of books came to me, the very first book. It had a box of 10 books, and I opened it up and pulled that book out and saw my name on the cover, and I just ever since then. That first book has led to, as I say, I think it's 14 books now, and I discovered that that was what I wanted to really concentrate on these over these years is writing, and mostly I write about history, not just local history, but some kind of history, sports history, county history, North Carolina history, things of that sort.
So you got bit by the bug, and now you're living with the sting.
You're right. You're right. But it's so enjoyable, and I wouldn't trade it. I get to read and I get to write. So I'm I'm a lucky man.
Yeah, I
Lucky
mean,
man.
I love I when I was in college, I studied psychology, and what drew me to it, I wanted to really just get to understand people better. Like I eventually wanted to sort of go on to get my PhD, but I fell in love with the research aspect of it.
Right.
Just
Right.
understanding what makes people tick, but also like the just asking people questions and compiling data and then turning that data into something that somebody could use, a well thought out or thought through summary and recommendations, and that kind of kicked me into, hey, I think maybe there's something to this writing thing. I never, because my brother, it's funny, I have a twin brother, and my mother always told us growing up that I was better at math and Jim was better at English. And I let that really limit me for a very long time in my life. Like
Yeah.
because I never considered myself as having any ability to write. But as I went through college, and there was a lot of writing in my degree and then in my graduate program as well, I'm like, you know what? I really enjoyed this aspect of it. Like I like looked forward to having to write the big term papers or the
Right.
thesis or something
Right.
like that. And that's when I started to think of myself, hey, maybe I could do this, for a hobby or maybe for a living someday.
Right.
But of course, it is hard to make a living just writing words. But
Yeah. Yeah.
um,
It certainly is. But I agree with you about the research, Michael. I dare say this, but I enjoy when I write a book. I enjoy the research a little bit more than the writing. The writing is hard, but I do enjoy, like you said, I enjoy gathering the facts, going to a library, going to an archives, talking to people, and that's the way I write. Is I pretty much get all my research together before I write my first word.
mm,
So it's kind of in two cycles: research fully, and then write the book. It's the way I do it, but it works for me anyway.
yeah, very cool, very
Yeah,
cool. So I know that you've got a your latest book anyway is let me just pull it up here because my
oh,
screen went blank, and I'm sure you've got a copy you can hold up for us.
I
But I know
do.
it's
I do.
called it's about Sam Ragan, and it's
That's right.
called
That's right.
Sam Ragan's North Carolina's Literary Godfather. Of course, you got me with Godfather because it's my one of my favorite books.
Can you see that? Is that
You hold it up a little bit more so
look
we could see it. There we
low
go. A
high?
little bit higher and a
Okay.
little bit closer to the camera. You got a blur feature on, so we're getting there we go. Oh, there he is. He's got a little hat
Can,
on there. Very
yeah,
good. Yeah.
can see that. That's and that's I'll just briefly say North Carolina's literary godfather. He really is, and it's not just me saying this. I know this is a bold statement, Michael, but um, he probably did more to promote and make North Carolina the writing state than any other individual. Now I know that's hard to believe, but uh, the North Carolina's literary godfather, that title, not just is not original with me. It's when I did the research, I realized everybody called Reagan that, and he was in so many influential positions. He wrote poetry. He was a longtime newspaper editor at major newspapers here in North Carolina, including the Raleigh News and Observer, one of the biggest newspapers we have down here. He was chairman of the North Carolina Arts Council. He was the first secretary of cultural resources in North Carolina, appointed by Governor Jim Hunt. And he used all those positions to promote writing and help authors out, give publicity to authors, give advice to authors. He taught creative writing at three different colleges for many years. I can go on and on with things he did, but really, he deserves that title of North Carolina's literary godfather.
Yeah. When you were doing your research, did you learn anything new about him, or what would surprise listeners to know about Sam Ragan?
Well, what surprised me, maybe not your listeners, but what surprised me was just what I mentioned, the vast influence he had. I knew him. He grew up in Granville County, in the county that I mentioned where I grew up. In fact, he grew up about 8 miles from where I was born, on a tobacco farm, and a very poor family, but he made good. And I, what surprised me was the vast influence he did have, more than I even imagined. Um, oh my goodness, authors all over North Carolina will tell you about Sam Ragan and the influence that he had on them. Um, and I think your listeners, if they were to read my book, they probably would just realize what a good man, what a nice man, a Southern gentleman, and probably would come away saying, oh, what good poetry Sam Ragan wrote. He had two poetry books nominated for Pulitzer prizes.
Wow.
And just as I say, I should say he was North Carolina Poet Laureate for 15 years. 15 years. Uh, had the post had that title when he died. He had that poet laureate position for life, appointed by the governor. And of course, when he died, he was the reigning poet laureate.
Wow.
So yeah, just a great man. Did so much. Nice man. Everybody just loved Sam.
When did he pass?
1996. 1996. And there's a Weymouth, it's called the Weymouth Center here in Southern Pines, North Carolina. The Weymouth Center is a place that Sam pretty much established, and writers from all over North Carolina right now go to Weymouth for 1 week and 2 week writing residences. They have rooms there. One is called the Thomas Wolfe Room, and I think there's many other rooms named for famous authors around the state, and they can stay there for a week or 2 weeks and concentrate on their writing. And Sam established that, not only that the Weymouth Center, but he established that writers in residence place. Now, if I may just say, I have a book talk and signing at the Weymouth Center in Southern Pines on December 2nd at 2 p.m. December 2nd at 2 p.m. And I'm looking forward to that.
Well, all of my listeners who are close to that area, I will put that in our show notes so you can easily find that. I will not be able to attend, Lewis, because I have my own my own book event the same night, but in Stamford,
same day, same night. Oh my goodness!
But I don't think we'll be fighting over the same audience, given how far apart we live from each other.
That's right. That's right. I don't know that I'll have anybody from Connecticut in attendance that night, but
hey, you never know.
Yeah, you're right. You're right.
Have you ever been able to spend time in residence there?
I've been invited to do it. In fact, I'm going to do it that week when I go December 2nd. It's a Monday, and I'm going to spend. I won't spend a whole week there, but they've invited me to stay a couple of nights in a room there, but maybe I don't know, Michael. I like to write at home. I think I can get more writing done at home than I can in a building. What I would be doing if I was there probably is walking. It's a great big mansion. It's a great big house, and it's where the North Carolina Literary Hall of Fame is housed. I'd probably be spending my time walking around the house and the vast grounds and gardens they have, and not writing like I should. So I get most of my writing done at home.
I'm a big believer that writing isn't always defined as the act of writing. Sometimes with writing, there's just a lot of thinking and a lot of absorbing. I do a lot of writing. I'm a runner, so I'll get a lot of ideas while I'm running, because I consider running to be very meditative.
Right.
And I'll come back from a run and then write some things down, or something will inspire me. But I don't always think of writing as, sitting at the keyboard or holding the pen or pencil. I think there's a lot of experience that goes into it. And my sister-in-law told me that once. She's like, if you really want to be a writer, you've got to get out in the world more and do more interesting things.
I agree. Sam Ragan, I'm paraphrasing, but he said, his poetry, in fact, all poetry or most writing comes from experiences of daily living. And you saw something beautiful earlier in the day, and it just ends up in a poem that you write, or you had a conversation with someone, and it something he or she said rung a bell, and you put that in a column or something. So yeah, I agree. Writing is more than it's living and observing what you see, and keeping those things in mind for later on when you put pen to paper, so to speak.
Yeah, and I think that's a writer's superpower, and I think it's having that memory, but being able to call it back. Sometimes years or decades later, there's things that I will put in my work, and I you'll never read what I write because it's fiction, Lewis. But
Oh no, I will now. I will now, though.
no,
I,
just
I don't dislike fiction at all. It's just a personal thing,
I
and
no, no, I get it. I get it.
and we should read what we enjoy, and that's all.
Absolutely, but I guess the point is, like, my father will read something
Right.
that I've written, and he'd be like, "Oh my God, you remembered that from 30 years ago," because it'll
Oh,
it'll be like a little bit of kernel of a family story that's wound its way into
right.
a scene. And he'll get it. And I put the little Easter eggs like that for him and for my siblings to see if they remember. But that's but it's part of our superpower. Like, we can remember things, and we've got a curiosity that will lead us to be able to channel it and put it somewhere for later use.
Right. Right. I agree totally, Michael, and it's uh, it's just something that we have to keep remember things, and uh, you know, or it's fall down here, those beautiful leaves outside on trees. Sam was a great uh, poet of trees and nature. I mean, my goodness, the man loved trees. He wrote, I bet, 10 poems about trees. And uh, anytime somebody cut down a tree near where he lived or in the town he was at, he wrote about it, criticized it. He just didn't believe in that. But yeah, we are what we live and what we experience. Exactly. You're exactly right.
So, what are you working on right now? Or do you have something in the works?
Now, again, this is going to upset you, being a Connecticut Husky fan, but I'm writing I'm writing a biography of Eddie Cameron, who Cameron Indoor Stadium. Some of your listeners will know what I'm talking. That's the home basketball arena of Duke University. It's one of the most famous arenas in the country, and it's named for Eddie Cameron, a longtime coach and athletic director at Duke. So I'm about 80% through with the biography of Eddie Cameron. Hope to get it out maybe in the next year or so.
Wow, that's how was the research on that?
Great. I've enjoyed it so much. I've written a book on, uh, I don't know if you may not be able to see these too well, but I've also written a book about Wallace Wade. Um, it's called Championship Years at Alabama and Duke. He was a famous football coach at those two schools. And Wallace Wade and Eddie Cameron were good friends, but um, two of the most enjoyable books I've ever written are the Wallace Wade book and the Sam Ragan book. But I think the Eddie Cameron book will be right up there. I enjoyed the research, like I said a while ago, and I've spent many hours in the Duke archives getting information on Eddie Cameron. So looking forward to that book coming out soon.
Yeah, very cool. Do you feel like as if you become like personal acquaintances or friends with the subjects that you're profiling in your works?
I do. I feel like Sam Ragan's granddaughter is still living, and I actually got to meet one of Sam's daughters, and I've told both of them that I mean, I had a good father. I love my father, but I would have, if the situation had been different, I would have loved to have had Sam Ragan for a father. He was such a good man, and uh, yeah, I do. And the Wallace Wade, the football coach, he's a real famous coach, both here at Duke and in Alabama. Won the first three national titles Alabama ever had in football, and I feel like he's my old cranky granddad. He was a crusty man, a disciplined, tough disciplinarian as a coach, crusty and cranky, and didn't take uh, didn't like to mess around too much. But I got to love Coach Wade. You do, like you say, Michael. You especially when you write biographies of people, you get to know them so well. You get to know some of their family members, or if not their children or granddaughters, and you feel like they're part of your family. You
Yeah,
really
and
do.
and with that, I'm sure that there's a weight on your shoulders to do right by them, right? Because
Exactly.
you've got their heirs who are
Oh,
going to read it, and
that's right. That's right.
yeah,
And I know that the Wallace Wade book. I know that Duke fans are going to be reading that, and the Sam Ragan book. Poetry lovers here in North Carolina will read it, and you've got to. Yeah, I just strong believer in getting your facts straight. I'm I really I'm not a good researcher, but I work hard at it, and I really, when you're dealing with dates and events and all of that, you want to get your facts straight. And luckily, I've never written a book that any major error was found. I mean, you're always going to find something, but it's I work hard at that. I take pride in a book that I produce. I don't want my name on the cover of a book that I'm not don't have a lot of pride
yeah.
in.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
once went to a an event in New York City. It was the International Biographers Association or something. It had a name similar to that.
Right. Right.
I can't remember.
Right.
One of my authors was being featured as a speaker there. It was in some literary agent's home. This guy must have been a very good agent because it was like Central Park West. And
Yeah. Oh my
two
goodness.
stories. I mean, it was he probably sold a bunch of books or
Oh, I'm
represented a
sure.
bunch of authors who sold a bunch of books. Anyway, she had written a biography on Henry Ward Beecher
Oh yeah.
and won a Pulitzer Prize for that. And I'm
Oh,
sitting there.
I know that it was a lady wrote that. I know the
Yes,
name, but it
it
won't come to
was.
me. But
It
I know that
was.
I haven't read the book, but I'm aware of the book, and I've
Yes,
seen. Yeah.
her name is Debbie. Oh, now I'm on the
Oh,
spot. It'll come to me when I'm not
yeah,
thinking about her.
yeah. But
Fascinating individual.
yeah.
Fascinating individual. But I'm thinking to myself, I'm meeting her. I met Kitty Kelly. Kitty Kelly, and my parents had her books, on like the
Oh my goodness.
Reagans. And
Yeah.
I'm sitting there and just like, first of all, I feel like a fish out of water because I'm a podcast host who's written a bunch of fiction, but that's,
Oh
but I
yeah.
was honored to be there. And I'm thinking to myself, you people know so much about the people that you profile. It's amazing to me. And I just, the stories I'm sure that they could fill. Just amazing.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Um, that sounds like quite an experience you had there.
Yeah. It was an
Uh,
interesting night. It
yeah.
was an interesting
I'll
night.
give you one little small detail story here. In Chapel Hill, very close by, a lady called Elizabeth Spencer lived there, and she's a famous writer down here. Had a Tony Award winning play adapted from one of her books, and Light in the Piazza. But anyway, I got to know her in her last years and visited her many times, and she was a very older lady, but she actually knew writers like William Faulkner and Robert Frost, and she talked about them quite a bit, and I felt like I was in their presence. I knew somebody
Yeah.
that knew William Faulkner and Robert Frost, and she would tell me little anecdotes about them and things, and before she passed away. So I enjoyed that. It's nice to you learn from people like that, and and share stories with them.
Yeah, you can almost channel them. I think
Yeah.
a good biographer can almost channel
Right.
these.
Michael, I wonder if could I read a poem of Sam Ragan's?
Absolutely, please. God, the floor is yours, Lewis.
So that the listeners might know a little bit about what he writes. As I said earlier, he has written uh, two books that were nominated for Pulitzer Prizes. Uh, I've got the wrong book, so I guess I better get his collected poems here. I was looking at my biography there. It's a short poem. Sam's poetry was uh, spare words. He was, I guess you call it masculine poetry. He wrote like Hemingway, but of course, Hemingway wrote prose mostly, but Ragan wrote his poetry this way. And wrote free verse. He didn't rhyme when he, his poetry. But I think this is called post-war, and it's talking about the Civil War. Uh, and I'll just read it, and I think your readers will be able to get the emotion of it. He came home from Petersburg, footing it down the road with 3 others who fell off by the way. He going the last miles alone. The chimney's smoke quickened his steps. She was waiting in the doorway and ran down the path to meet him. Not much was said. They walked back together, and he took off his hat and stood a moment before going in to supper. He cleaned the spring, and there were 3 places in the fence to mend. A new ground was cleared, and after the plowing was done, along the road he planted a row of cedars. And that was a soldier coming home from the Civil War and seeing his wife probably after a period of years, and the farm had been gotten in bad condition because the husband was away. And that's just one of my favorite poems of Sam's. I could read you a couple more, but that's that kind of gives your readers a little bit snippet of the way he wrote. But did you like that poem?
Yeah, beautiful,
Mike?
beautiful.
I think it is too. I think it is too.
You could see it. It's so visual. You could see that scene unfold right in front of you.
Exactly. It's a strange thing. Ragan wrote, I guess you say, spare poetry. He didn't waste words. In other words, he was short and to the point. And I love Sam Ragan's poetry, but my favorite poet of all time, heads above everybody else, is Walt Whitman. And Whitman's poetry was more flowery, more wordy, and things like that. So it's strange. I like both types of poetry, but Ragan is definitely. I compare him to Hemingway's prose writing. He didn't waste words. In other words.
Yeah, and just like with music, we can appreciate different artists, different genres. The same thing with writing and poets. Different styles, different feelings.
Right. But I do love poetry. Now that Michael, let me ask you. I just popped in my head. You're in Connecticut, right?
I am. Yes.
Have you heard? You're bound to have heard of Donald Hall.
The name is familiar.
He lived in New Hampshire, but he did. I think he was born in Connecticut, but lived in New Hampshire. He was New Hampshire poet laureate for a long time. I just wondered. I'm reading some books about Donald Hall right now, and he's fairly well known up your way.
I can't say that I'm all that familiar, but I was also not really a student of any of this.
I understand. Oh, I just thought I would ask you about that. But and of course I've written. I write on various subjects, and but a lot of, as I say, Granville County history. I do have one I might show you. Alabama football tales, more than a century of Crimson Tide glory. And of course, this is a little bit of a history of Alabama football. I was in Alabama, in Tuscaloosa, a couple of weeks ago for some book signings down there. With both of these books are related to Alabama football. So, and that's now you don't want Alabama to play Connecticut in football.
Michael. Oh, well, no. Look, our football team, we beat Boston College this year, but
a good team this year. And, and as I say, Duke is coming to Connecticut on Saturday.
Well, that'll
be a good game.
I'm very, very interested in that game. It'll be a good one to watch, especially this early in the season. We'll see.
I think it'll be a good, tough game.
Yeah. Well, this has been fun, Lewis. Thank you so much.
Oh, thank you, Michael. Thank you.
Where can people learn more about you? Do you have a website? Are you active on any social media? Can you share anything with us?
My website is not active right now, but I am on Facebook, of course, and I write a column for the Ledger News of Oxford, and I'd be honest with you, I'm old fashioned, old, I guess you'd say. I'm not on social media a lot. Be honest with you, I should do.
You're probably a better person for it.
I should do more of it. They tell me, but I just haven't got into that so much yet.
Yeah,
I really have enjoyed being on with you, Michael, and I've enjoyed talking to you, and hope your listeners will look into maybe Sam Ragan, and if you're interested, and find out what a great poet and a great literature lover and mentor to so many authors in North Carolina. Reynolds Price comes to mind, and most of your authors will know who Reynolds Price is, but he always gave Sam credit for getting him into writing and publicizing his first few books. So he did so much for literature in North Carolina, and I'm glad to share a little bit of that with your readers.
Yeah, well, thank you. Thank you so much. And I will say it's been a pleasure hosting you on Uncorking a Story, and thank you for letting me uncork yours.
Thank you so much, Michael. Enjoy being with you.
Thanks for listening to Uncorking a Story. If you'd like more information about today's guest or to find out more about Mike, go to uncorkingastory.com. If you enjoyed the show, please subscribe, rate, and review us at Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts. Tune in every week to hear Mike Carlon uncork a new story.